Hello everybody, and welcome back to the Bayonetta 2 walkthrough. It's time for even more extras. I told you there were an absolute metric butt ton of these. This time it is time to tackle first Climax with the one and only Jeanne, which is just awesome. Now, Jeanne is unlocked by completing the game on any difficulty, so first, second or third, which is very nice, and it's a lot easier to do than it was to unlock Jeanne in the first game, because there you had to, I believe, get you had to get a platinum on every single chapter in the game on normal or higher, which was ridiculously difficult. So she's much easier to get here, and thank God for that. Now, when you play as any character other than Bayonetta, in the cutscenes they will still have Bayonetta's voice, because that's kind of how the cutscenes are set up. However, whenever you are summoning anything, in most instances they will have their own unique kind of phrase for it, which is awesome. Now, the key differences with Jeanne, apart from the obvious fact of she has smaller boobs and a smaller bum than Bayonetta, something that Hideki Kamiya was very, very precise about, because he actually prefers Jeanne to Bayo, and for some bizarre reason he felt that in the original game everything was a little bit too big, so he made sure to kind of shrink it for Bayonetta 2, and also the Bayonetta re-release port thing for the Wii U. Shows the attention to detail there. Now, gameplay-wise, what does kind of Jeanne entail? Well, basically her Wicked Weaves are much stronger than Bayonetta's, and she can dodge infinitely, I believe, which is an absolute godsend. The drawback, however, is that the window in which you activate Witch Time is ridiculously small, and essentially nigh on just limited to Moth Within, which is her version of that. Also, she uses her Alpha 1 guns, which we'll see kind of unlocking shortly. But basically they have the same combo pattern as Scarborough Fair, which is quite awesome. And I will always love All for One, because they rather brilliantly, well, it's based on the Three Musketeers, and the 4 different cats on her guns are D'Artagnan, Athos, Porthos and Aramis, who are the Musketeers, which is just brilliant. And also you've got a really cool thing, the inscription on the gun says "Tout pour un pour tout," which is all for one, one for all. Which is just amazing. Now, what I'm planning on doing throughout pretty much the majority of this video is going through all of the descriptions for the weapons, because it has only just struck me that I didn't actually cover them, and it's one of 2 things outside of Witch Trial 5 that I kind of forgot to show off. Well, I didn't forget to show off Witch Trial 5, I just actively decided not to show it off. But these 2 things are basically the taunts that you get whenever wearing the Umbran Elegances, which are only available for Bayonetta, annoyingly. Because basically Bayonetta has different taunts for each of the weapons, and I believe it's the same with Jeanne, although it's not quite as identical. Now, I believe the Enochian for Gamora, which is XGamerRichy, is to vomit weeping or something along those lines. I may have already said it, but there's that. Now, obviously our first weapons that we got were the Rakshasa blades, with the description being a pair of swords that absorbed the demon god Rakshasa and were cleansed with Soma. Energy from Rakshasa's chakra flows from the swords into their user, making them easy to handle. Now, Jeanne's equivalent is the Resetsu. So, a mesmerising sharp-edged pair of swords that seal the goddess of destruction and ruin, Resetsu. When a female has these weapons in her hands, demonic energy causes her power to increase tenfold, and can send lost souls away from this world to where they belong. Now, I believe that Resetsu is literally just the Japanese term for Rakshasa. And the most famous Resetsu in Japanese Buddhism were known to be a family of 11 demonesses whose 10 daughters ravaged the land in search for children to feast upon, and so on and so forth. So then we have Kafka, which is a bow and arrow made with a man who one cursed another, and who in turn metamorphosed into a hideous insect. Still living inside a part of the bow's frame, he fires cursed arrows of savage, venomous bugs. And Jeanne's equivalent is Samsa, a bow containing the soul of a man who was transformed into a poisonous insect, disowned by his family and cast into the depths of Inferno. The bugs decorated across this bow are all alive, and constantly producing deadly toxins. Those struck by arrows from this bow will be susceptible to sicknesses of all kinds. And Samsa is the surname of the very man in The Metamorphosis who was transformed into an insect, Gregor Samsa, the Metamorphosis being the novella written by Franz Kafka, who Kafka is named after. And the story is that of a young man who wakes up to find himself turned into an insect. Then we have Chernobog, a scythe containing souls captured by the god of death, Chernobog, who had been expelled from the farthest depths of Inferno. Rodan infused the scythe with some particularly exquisite souls, restoring the weapon to its former glory. Also, short thing here, we have Madama sticks. Yes! So basically, wherever Madama Butterfly would have appeared, Madama sticks will appear for Jeanne, because that is the demon that she has the pact with. Which is awesome. Jeanne's equivalent of Chernobog is Inferno Slayer, a scythe used by a sage to hunt demons who wandered into human villages. His merciless killing of demon after demon earned him the name Inferno Slayer by the villagers. At first they praised him, but eventually they grew afraid of his power and expelled him from this village, no longer remembering him as a protector. No one knows what happened to the sage after he was expelled, and the scythe's whereabouts were long since lost to the sands of time. Eventually Rodan heard rumour that a demon in Inferno possessed it. The weaponsmith claimed the scythe for himself, along with the soul of the demon. The scythe was then given the name of its previous owner, and became an instrument for slaying demons and angels alike. And doesn't really get a basis for that, they just got a bit bored. So, Undine. 2 flamethrowers containing the soul of Undine, who threw herself into Cocytus River after a failed relationship. Undine's extreme feelings of jealousy burst into searing flame, reducing her enemies to ash. Her breath of lament freezes all who are hit by it dead in their tracks. And John's equivalent is Rusalka, an infernal weapon containing the souls of lonely water spirits known as Rusalka, or Rulsaka. I have no idea, who fell to become brides. The screams of their souls as they escape the machine are at times horrible flames of destruction, or blizzards of the coldest temperatures. And Rusalki, which is the plural form of Rusalka, are sea nymphs, spirits, mermaids from Slavic mythology. Then we have Takemikazuchi, which is a giant hammer forged from breaking down the thunder god Takemikazuchi's divine sword, the Futsuno Mitama. Through harnessing adequate power as a sword, Rodan decided to rebuild it as a hammer to suit his personal tastes. One swing will cause the heavens to split and the earth to tremble. Jeanne's equivalent is Yagyu. True to its name, which means wild bull, this enormous hammer houses a charm by the raging bull god Gozu. Some time ago, Rodan used this hammer during a fight to save a certain planet in crisis. Despite Rodan's fine work, Bayonetta turned down the weapon, not finding the name to her liking. Rodan felt he had no choice but to join the battle himself, and put on a personal display of its power. Rodan has since made it more powerful for Jeanne, travelling to Japan to find and affix a new charm. Which is actually a really, really cool thing. Now, Yagyu comes from the Japanese name for buffalo or bison, but the real reason that it's named Yagyu is to reference the hammer that Rodan uses in the Wonderful 101. Because Rodan is a secret unlockable character in the Wonderful 101, along with Bayonetta and Jeanne, which is just amazing! And he uses a hammer, and it's called Yagyu. And also, the raging bull god from which its charm was bestowed to be used in Yagyu, Gozu, is short for one of the Japanese Buddhist demon gatekeepers and wardens of hell, Gozuki, who is said to be a human or demon with the head of a bull. We then have Salamandra, chainsaws that resourcefully use every inch of the infernal dragon Salamandra. Its sharp scales were forged into the weapon's teeth, and its heart supplies the energy. At full throttle, their teeth easily rip apart even the hardest of iron skin, then ravage deep through flesh below. Jeanne's equivalent is Agni. So, chainsaws containing the spiritual energy absorbed from the god who controls all flame. The fire that constantly flows from this weapon transforms into sharp teeth that can sear through anything. And Agni is the name of the Hindu god of fire. We then have Sharaba, which obviously appears in the original game, and it is a living katana pulsing with the heart of Ashura, the demon god of war. Always seeking blood, the blade will even suck the very soul out of its victims. And Jeanne's equivalent is Angel Slayer. A katana born in the unknown depths of Inferno, brimming with mystery. One legend states that it is the twin sword to Sharaba. It is also said the sword's name comes from the story of a witch who loved the sword and was excommunicated for carrying out a futile war against the angels. While the sword did not contain the soul of a demon, the Angel Slayer displayed incredible power. However, the sword and the witch in whose hands it was held both found themselves in Inferno. Eventually the blade passed into the hands of Rodan, who was able to make up for its previous deficiency. However, it remains unknown what sort of demon the smith was able to seal away in the historic blade. And apparently, Jeanne's Angel Slayer is a Kyugunto, which is a sword primarily used by the Japanese army, navy, and cavalry officers in the Russo-Japanese War. And each military branch carried a different type of the sword. And I believe that has taken us through all of the weapons, apart from Alruna. Maybe one or two others. So Alruna, a whip containing the soul of a demon who shares the same name as a flower that blooms in Inferno. Laced with thorns, it slithers as if it were alive. Those who can hear the crack of the whip can feel Alruna's whisper its curse in their ears, because they forgot to call it Alruna. Then you have Chain Chomp, a curious creature Rodan encountered while travelling through the ancient capital of Japan. Unable to get close to it due to its penchant, whatever, for biting everything it comes into contact with, Rodan waited until it was sleeping, then dragged it away, chain and all. However, after multiple failed attempts to tame it, Rodan gave up and begged the witches to take it. Then you have Rodan, a mysterious bracelet once used by the fallen angel Rodan, and holding dominion over a portion of Paradiso. Depending on the power of its user, the bracelet can take on many different forms. You also have the handguns, automatic pistols from Rodan to serve as some means of protection in the human world. Designed to be used by normal humans, these weapons are unable to withstand concentrated amounts of magic when firing, so which energy must be controlled carefully. We also have Scarborough Fair, which is crafted by the famed demon smith Radahn, these 4 guns have been crowned with names Parsley, Sage, Rosemary and Thyme. Pushing Bayonetta's magic to its limits, these guns' rate of fire and stopping power are incredible. And I don't know whether I actually covered the in-game description for All for One, but 4 powerful handguns crafted by the famed demonsmith Radahn and crowned with the names Athos, Porthos, Aramis and D'Artagnan. Pushing one's magical powers to their limits, these guns' rate of fire and stopping power are incredible. And last but not least, we have the description, the really wonderful description for Love is Blue. So, it's a set of guns masterfully crafted by the famed demonsmith Radahn, waiting for their time to finally be put to use. Individually, their names are Prelude, Minuet, Toccata, and Nocturne, which I believe are, well, it's all kind of musical things, but the song, which I know I've said I don't really know, and I don't really know, but I've got the lyrics up, which is an absolute godsend. So it's like, blue, blue, my world is blue, blue is my world, now I am without you. Grey, grey, my life is grey, cold is my heart since you went away. Red, red, my eyes are red, crying for you alone in my bed. Green, green, my jealous heart, I doubted you and now we're apart. And then you have, when we met, how the bright sun shone, then love died, now the rainbow is gone. Black, black, the nights I've known, longing for you so lost and alone. Gone, gone the love we knew, blue is my world, now I'm without you. So, blue, grey, red, green are the colours of the gems on Love is Blue. Actually, no, never mind. Red, grey, black and green are the colours of the gems, and then the whole thing is blue. So, there you go. Can't believe that was a lot of information in a very small amount of time. Now, essentially, what this entire part is working towards, and it's only going to happen like the final 5 minutes or so, is getting, or at least attempting to get, Bewitchment for beating Boulder in Chapter 12 without getting hit. Now, seeing as I am definitely not going to have time to explain it whilst the fight's happening, because it's going to be over quite surprisingly quickly, I'll kind of go into essentially what you should be trying to do right about now, and then there'll be time to come back to it later. I'll also point out that the majority of the Enochian phrases that Jeanne uses to summon the demons is very similar to Bayonetta. So you had Nakodi, Sundena for Diomedes, as you just heard there. Can't quite tell what her summon for Madama Styx is, because it's highly similar to Varma, which is First Elder, which summons Madama Butterfly, but it's like something like Levi Varma. Can't quite place it, and I don't know whether anybody else has actually, which is really frustrating. Also, this is Carnage, if you haven't seen this particular torture attack already. I'm just getting massively sidetracked, aren't I? Oh, there we go. It's Pedi Burma, which I don't know whether that has a... I don't know what that translates to. I would like to know what that translates to. I'll have to find it out shortly, because... How very, very odd. However, I can reveal that her summon for Hector Hare is Znerza, which is I swear. And then we have Labalas, which she summons with Sondena. Not Sundena, Sondena, which is the name of an evil spirit. Mictlantically is still Nakodi. Baal is Exfar, which is vomit power. Which seems to be the same for everybody, although I don't know anymore. Hydra is still Canalu. Diomedes is Sondena or Sundena. Carnage is Solpata, which is listen. And I think that covers pretty much all of the wonderful Enochian phrases that I need to cover right now. We'll come back to it. Anyway, as I was saying before I got sidetracked by Enochian, basically the strategy that you're going to want to be making use of, and seriously, you're really going to be wanting to do that, is use Undine and Salamandra and absolutely just abuse yellow lollipops. It's a very cheap method, but it works. It really works. And you can also, I think, add like the red lollipops on top, and basically that means that you have stronger attack power, so not only can you not get hit, but you also, you know, are causing much more damage in the grand scheme of things. I will say I made an absolutely terrible decision in trying to take it on with Jeanne, because I'm just not used to fighting as Jeanne. I don't like it because I can't just go into Witch Time whenever I want to. And also, that's a very horrible quick time event that Alaroon can pull on you that you never got to see the first time round. And the reason it's evil is because if you get caught in it, you're going to take damage no matter what. Which is just really mean. Now, as much as I would like to find out what Padibama means, I don't think it's quite going to happen, which is really annoying. But still, as I was saying, with the method for taking on Boulder, it really is just as simple as abuse lollipops and abuse the weapons that you have. If you have, as I do at this point, enough things to have a ridiculous, and I mean a seriously ridiculous number of lollipops, then it can just be so insanely simple. Also, I have no idea why I decided to keep in the entirety of this section, because it was not needed. Oh, actually, I know why I kept it in. So, obviously the highest rank that I've got at the end of a chapter is Platinum at this point, which I'm incredibly proud of, because I don't ever sit there and expect to get anything higher, because I don't think that I am that good at Bayonetta. So it's always a really lovely surprise when I do ridiculously well. And so I thought I'd just leave in the entirety of this chapter for a very specific reason. Because everything went remarkably swimmingly. Which I was not expecting in the slightest. Because I thought, well, at least I remember thinking, this is going to take me forever. Like, I wasn't even sure I was going to be able to even begin to get the bewitchment. Because I am terrible at fighting Boulder. I know this. The game knows this, and I'm sure you know this at this point. Like, I constantly get hit by Boulder. And to be perfectly honest, I always get hit at least once during this entire thing. So, Chapter 12 in general, although easy to complete in the grand scheme of things, is not my best chapter in the long run. But I got a pure platinum on that segment. I wonder how things will progress. Also, I wonder how Boulder will react to facing down QTJ, which is Jeanne's superhero counterpart, or alter ego, which is just insanely ridiculously wonderful, and I love that Jeanne has a superhero alter ego. Because for those of you who didn't know, she's actually a teacher in her spare time, when she's not slaughtering angels. And so she has this superhero alter ego in order to protect everybody without anybody realising who she is. And it's QTJ, which is rather ridiculously also on her motorbike, so it's not exactly the best secret identity I have ever seen in my life, but there we go. You also get a rather nice look at Links Within, and you will get a nice look at Moth Within shortly, I think. Yes. Trying to remember how this cutscene goes, even though I've seen it like 60 gazillion times by this point. Or you might have already seen. You see, this is how much that my mind just crumbles away. It's not quite going to improve, I suspect. There's like 9 parts to go. And even though there's still a wonderfully brilliant amount to talk about, I don't think my brain's functioning in such a manner that it will convey all of that. But either way, this is the end of this particular part. Taking on Boulder. And yes, this is a stupidly, ridiculously cheap way of beating him. But, to be perfectly honest, it's an incredibly cheap bewitchment. Like, stupidly cheap. Like, I'm pretty sure that even the original Bayonetta didn't have an achievement that was beat Chapter X without getting hit. Or, like, defeat this really difficult boss without getting hit. Could be wrong, though. But, like, I am pretty sure that there was nothing kind of that evil in terms of gameplay stuff, although I am just going to double check that now so that I don't seem like a complete and utter idiot. And I am indeed correct. None of the achievements in the original Bayonetta require you to not take damage during a really difficult boss. There is obviously the difficulty of Fire of the Afterburners, which is earn platinum medals during verse 1 and 2 of chapter 14, which is the Space Harrier clone homage thing. And there is defending Cereza during chapter 6 and ensuring that she takes no damage, but that's really ridiculously easy, especially if you use something like the Gaze of Despair to make sure that none of the enemies focus on Cereza and just go after you. So yeah, this bewitchment's really evil. And I am not a fan in the slightest. It's just no. Also, I have the Earrings of Ruin equipped, so I could just do this and cause even more mass chaos. Believe I may have put them on just then. I have no idea. But either way, just do this if you want the bewitchment, and do it on easy as well. I would recommend you play as Bayonetta, because then you can actually go into witch time and make this go a hell of a lot quicker. Because obviously, Jeanne's just really annoying to play as. If anything, there are only kind of really two characters that you should be playing during Bayonetta 2, and that is Bayonetta and Rosa. Bayonetta because she's obviously the main character, you have to play as her to beat the game, but also because she strikes the best balance between damage, witch time, and all that jazz. And you should be playing as Rosa because she kicks out the most damage and her witch time isn't buggered. But there we go, we have the bewitchment, darkness envelops light, which I actually did it. I'm very proud of myself. Because as I said, when I started this entire walkthrough, I was just like, I don't know how things are going to go, I don't even know whether I'm even going to attempt this. I'm glad I did in the end, because it's just like, yes! Success! But also what you have probably realised, considering I didn't get hit during that entire chapter.
Oh.
Yes, I got 2 pure platinums in a row, and considering this game doesn't penalise you for using items, I totally just got a pure platinum on that chapter. Oh yes! Now, it's time to finish off first Climax. Let's do this.